All right, let's start out with warm up. And I just noticed this is slightly different than what you've seen before. And I'm going to fix mine. I have a $sign at the end of my 24. But other than that, you guys should be set. Have fun with your warm up and turn this off and come back. All right, here are my answers. Like I said, this one's different. When you have parentheses stuck together right next to each other, that is a multiplication problem there. So make sure you're good at identifying multiplication problems. The rule for this is we have two negative signs, which is an even number, and pairs of negatives cancel each other out to make a positive. That is a multiplication rule. Be careful that you don't mix that up with the adding and subtracting rules, okay? This one, we're going to move the decimal that was after the 12 to the left 2 times. This one, another trick would be to do the cross product, 9 times 40 divided by 6, or 40 times 9 divided by 6 will give you the answer. So 40 times 9 is 360, 360 divided by 6 is 60. All right, this one, 15% of actually $24. Well, 10% of 24 is 2.4. So half of 10% would be 1.2. So we do 2.4 plus 1.2 makes 360. All right. We just move the decimal place to the left once. And on this one, again, 24 is 2 parts of 3. So if we do 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36. All right, now these should be so similar to what you've been doing. Anytime you see a story like this, 30% of the herd stood in the shade. If 21 cows did not stand in the shade, how many cows were in the herd? Now, if without a chart, all I hear is wah, 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 a cow, wah, wah, herd, wah, wah. I hear my mom, I'm done with math. All right. So what you do is put this information into a chart, and it will make it a lot easier to understand what's going on. Okay. So this is just like all the ratio problems we've done. In this case, we're just doing a percent. So we either do percents, fractions, or ratios, but we make the same chart. So we would say, we could say percent actual. Okay, and what are we talking about here? We've got a herd, we got cows, right? So we have some are in the shade and some are not in the shade. So let's say S for shade, not in the shade, and T for total, okay? So let's look at what we know. 30% of the herd are in the shade. So I'm going to say 30% right here. So we can do something with that information, but let's go ahead and fill in our chart. 21 cows did not stand, so that would be 21 did not stand in the shade. And they're saying how many cows altogether, how many were in the herd. So this is the magic box that we really want to know. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, I only have 2 things. How am I going to do this? Well, when you know a percent, you also know the total is always 100%. Okay? And so 30, we can figure out this missing 30% plus 70% is 100%. So now we have everything we need to set up a ratio problem. We don't even need the top one anymore. We just need 70 over 100 equals 21 over, T. All right, so 70 over 100 equals 21 over T. There's our ratio that we set up. Now we can reduce this side before we do anything. We can cross out those zeros so we really have 7/10 equals 21 over T. So now we get the cross product. So we do 7T equals 21 times 10, which actually is 210. You see where I got that 210? I did 10 times 21 equals 7 times T. So we multiply the diagonals, set them equal to each other. And now we want to line by line, divide by 7. So I want you to write it this way. You should have this exact same thing on your paper, okay? And then we do the division and we get t equals 21 divided by 7 is 30 because 7 goes into 21, or 210 divided by 7 is 30 because 7 goes into 21. So that means we have 30 total cows, right? And that's what they asked, is how many cows were in the herd. Sometimes they might say, so you're going to write the final answer and box it or circle it. They might have asked how many cows did stand in the shade. And in that case, we would see it was 9, right? Okay, because we would, if the total is 30, we would take away 21, it would be 9. Okay, so let's go on and do some examples. Last week, 40% of Matthew's Burger customers ordered macaroni and cheese on top. If 480 customers did not order the mac and cheese, how many of the customers ordered mac and cheese? So that whole question's a mouthful, right? Without the chart. But a chart just organizes all your information. And so we've got Matthew's Burgers, and they are customers. Some wanted the mac and cheese and some did not. Okay, so we could do, how about Y for yes to the mac and cheese, and no for no mac and cheese, and T for total. Okay, we could actually write it out. I just like to abbreviate as much as I can. So 40% of his customers ordered mac and cheese. So 40% would be yes to mac and cheese. Okay, that means you have 60% did not want mac and cheese that day. People must have been on a diet that week. And total is always 100%. Okay, now we've got this number, 480 customers did not. So they said no. 480 said no mac and cheese, please. And it says how many of the customers did order. So this is the one they're looking for, this empty box right here, which means we don't even need to know this. You can exit out, or you can find out the answer if you want. Okay, because these two lines will add up to this line. So now what we have here is our ratio. We could say 40 over 60 equals y over 480. Okay, so that's going to be easy to find our missing data point there. So 40 over 60, that can actually be reduced to 4/6, which is 2/3. Okay, so we have 2/3 equals y over 480. Take the cross product, so we're going to take the diagonals. 3y equals 2 times 480. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. We could multiply 480 times 2, but let's wait until we divide both sides by 3, making yours look just like mine. So we got y equals, and 4 plus 8 is 12. 3 goes into 12, so I know that 3 goes into 480. And I'm going to go over here and find out how many times. Okay, I'm not afraid of some long division. It's kind of relaxing once in a while when you haven't gotten to do it in a while. So 160. So 3 goes into itself one time, goes in there 160. Okay, so y equals 2 times 160. Well, let's go ahead and see what, well, I'm not going to do the long multiplication because I know that 2 times 16 is 32. Okay, so 2 times 160 would be 320. Okay, so that's here. And then I would know how many customers Matthew had by adding. Looks like he had 800 customers that week, which is pretty awesome. But the answer is how many ordered mac and cheese. So you would say 320 customers. Remember, labeling gives you credit on a homework or on a test, okay? So make sure you do your labels. And we have one more example, and then you'll get to do the practice, okay? This is a shorter question. In the town of Centerville, 261 of the 300 working people do not carpool. What percent of the people carpool? Okay, so we could do this with the chart if we want. we could say percent actual, right? We do know our total is always going to be 100%, and we're going to say carpool, no carpool, okay? So we also know that 261 of the people do not carpool. So 261 of the 300 working people do not carpool. So 300 people total. Okay, and they want to know what percent of the people carpool. All right, so we could figure out what goes in there. 300 minus 261 should be what, 29? Is that correct? No, 39, sorry. 39. But let's say you didn't do 300 minus 261 and find that missing one. We could just find out the percent that don't carpool and then figure out the percent that do. So let's do it that way. Let's do n over 100. Am I off the page? N over 100 equals 261 over 300. Okay, well, this one's easier because we see that 100 times 3 equals 300. So to get the n, we really just have to do 261 divided by 3. And if you can see that, then that's okay. We don't have to do the full solving the equation that way. Okay, but if you did, it would be 300n equals 261 times 100, right? Then you would divide both sides by 300, which means basically dividing 261 by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, whoops, I was thinking 24. 8 times 3 is 24. So we get 87, n equals 87%. So 87% do not carpool, but that leaves 13%, because 100 minus 87 is 13. So what percent of the people carpool? We'd say 13% carpool. Okay, there's a part B to this. According to the census data, approximately 13% of the working people in the United States carpool to work. Do the carpooling statistics in Centerville reflect the national carpooling statistics? Well, the carpooling statistics tell us 13% carpool to work. And in the data they gave us, we did get 13% carpool. So what we would say is, do they reflect? Yes, they are both the same. Okay. All right. Now you have practice and you're done. Okay. Not too bad. Charts are your friend. Don't forget, or don't be afraid of them. Okay. So go ahead and turn off the video or pause it and do all your practice, and then come back and check or use your answer key. But when your answer key also shows the steps. So your answer key, your practice should match the work done in your answer key, okay, or your solutions manual. If you're doing it correctly, you need to be showing the steps, okay? And you may begin. Okay, this one says estimate each answer. So then use a ratio box to solve each problem. Okay, 21 of the 70 acres were planted with alfalfa. What percent of the acres was not in alfalfa? Well, I like to make a box first just because I don't even know what they're asking. Okay, so we have alfalfa and not alfalfa. We have percent actual and total. Okay, so 21 of the 70 acres had alfalfa. So there were 70 total acres, and 21 had alfalfa. What percent of the acre, and then we know this is 100, what percent of the acres was not, so we're looking for this box there, not planted in alfalfa. Now we can figure out this box because 70 minus 21 is going to be 49. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. And so now we have what we need to set it up. It says estimate though. Okay. If 21 out of 70 had alfalfa, I would guess, oh, I don't know, is that like less than half? Maybe 30%, so 70% was not alfalfa. That's my estimate. Okay, the reason they want you to estimate is so if you get an answer, you can tell if it's way off and if you made a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to set this up like a ratio problem. Okay, then I'm going to do the cross product. We got 70n equals 49 times 100. Okay, and I already see a 7 and 49, so I know this is going to be nice to us. Okay, so make sure we write all these steps, not too bad. So I'm going to cross out a 0 here and a 0 here. And then 7 goes into 49 7 times. So what I have is 7 times 10 left. So I have 70. Okay. Oh, and that's actually exactly what I guessed. And I didn't cheat. Usually I have the book open, but I promise I didn't. And that means 30%. Oh, well, I estimated. Yeah, I estimated correctly. Anyway, sorry. So 70% was not alfalfa. Okay. And on to the next two. Lori has 60% of the book to read. She's already read. If she's read 120 pages, how many pages does she still have left to read? So she's read 40 pages, and she's read 40%, which is 120 pages. So how many left does she have? I don't know, maybe 150 be an estimate. Okay, so let's see, we've got percent actual. Okay, we could say read, not read, and total. Okay, and so she has 60% of the book, or still has 60%, so she has not read 60%. Okay, she has read 40%, and she has read 120, but I was trying to write 210. She has read 120 pages, and we want to know how many she still has left to read. So let's do 40 over 60 equals 120 over x. Okay, and before I do the cross product, I'm going to say, all right, well, that's 2/3, okay? So 2 times x, or 2x, equals 3 times 120. All right, and then we're going to divide both sides by 2, make it balanced, and we get x equals, because those go away, and 2 goes into 120 60 times. So 60 times 3 is 180. I estimated 150, so I was off, but still in a decent range where I would say, all right, I think that is correct. I think that is my answer. So she has 180 pages. How about left? Just to be more clear. Okay, now we've got Dwayne missed 4 of the 30 problems on the problem set. What percent of the problems did he answer correctly? Okay, so, oh, I'm supposed to do an estimate. Okay, missed 4. What percent did he get correct? 4 out of 30. Oh, maybe 83%. Might be the estimate? I don't know. I'm totally guessing there. All right. Just because I want the video to be done for you, because I know you don't like long ones. Okay. So we correct, incorrect, total. Okay. So there were 30 total problems. Dwayne missed 4, so got 26 correct. All right. And 100% goes there. And we are looking for the percent that he got correct. Okay, so we're going to do this over, we could say C over 100 equals 26 over 30. Okay, so now we're going to do the cross product. 30C equals 26 times 100. And we're going to divide both sides by 30. And those go away. And these zeros go away. So now we have 26 times 10 divided by 3. Okay, so what that is 260 divided by 3. And I'm going to go ahead and divide that through to find a decimal, because 3 does not go into 260 perfectly. So let's go ahead and see what it does do. Okay. Looks like, okay, I'm going to bring I bet it looks like it's a repeater. In fact, let's do it as a fraction. So that would be this again, right? Well, then we'll do 86 that way. 86 and 2/3%. Okay. So, in that case, I wasn't way off. I did a total guess. So we're going to say 86 and 2/3% correct. Okay. So I guessed 83. All right. That was it. Fun, right? So fun. And enjoy your lesson.